Hey everyone, and welcome back. If you're new to Appian, you've probably built an interface that feels a little slow. You click a button, and you're stuck looking at a loading spinner. So, what's going on? Well, a lot of the time, the culprit is an inefficient query. In this video, we're going to cover valuable tips for writing fast and efficient queries that will help speed up your applications and create a better experience for your users. Let's get started. Let's look at an example from Acme Auto, a fleet management company. Acme Auto has a dashboard for their mechanics. It displays a list of vehicles that need service. But there's a problem. This dashboard is painfully slow to load. Mechanics are left waiting for pages to load, resulting in a frustrating experience. An investigation shows that the query for this dashboard is pulling far more data than it is showing to the user. That includes large text fields and real-time calculations. Today, we're going to improve Acme Auto's dashboard, and in the process, learn 5 key lessons about query performance. Let's get started. First, there's A-bang query record type. This is your go-to for querying one or more records with full control over filters, sorting, and paging. It's perfect for the main list on our Acme Auto dashboard. Next is A-bang query record by identifier. Use this when you need to get the data for one single record and you already know its ID. If a mechanic clicks on a car in the dashboard to see its full details, the summary view would use this function. Finally, there's A-bang record data. This is designed specifically to be the data source for UI components like read-only grids and charts. If you need to return related record data in your query, you can use A-bang related record data function. This function allows you to filter, sort, and limit one-to-many related records. For example, a developer could use it to only return the 5 most recent maintenance records for a vehicle. Now, think about the data you need to query. A valuable rule of query performance is this: only return the data you absolutely need. This applies to both the fields and the rows of data. First, let's talk about fields. Instead of pulling every field from your record type, you should always use the fields parameter in your query to specify only the ones you're going to use. Be especially careful to avoid what we call expensive fields, like fields of type extra long text and real-time custom record fields. These are fields that take more resources to retrieve. A real-time custom record field is calculated at the exact moment you query the record. This on-the-fly calculation is what makes it expensive. You should only use real-time fields when the data has to be absolutely up to the second, like a minutes since last update field, whereas a sync time custom record field is calculated only when your record data syncs. Because the value is pre-calculated and stored, retrieving it is super fast, just like a regular field. In this example, the dashboard only shows 4 pieces of data: the vehicle year, make, model, and its image. Since we do not need all the other fields, we can update our query to only return these specific fields, vastly improving performance. Next, let's talk about records. If your record type has thousands of records, you should avoid trying to load them all at once. First, use filters with A-bang query filter to only show the most relevant data. For example, the mechanic would only need to see their own assigned requests. Second, and most importantly, use paging with A-bang paging info. This function lets you break up the data into smaller batches. Instead of asking for 10,000 records, you ask for the first 25. Or, in our case, 8, since we are only displaying 8 maintenance requests per page. Then, we ask for the next batch. The batch size parameter tells Appian how many records to get. A common number is 25 to 100. The start index tells it where to begin. When the user clicks Next Page, start index goes to the start of the next batch. Now let's cover some common traps that can slow you down. First, you should avoid looping a query. In our example, it would not make sense for each card to query a single vehicle record. That would be 1 query for each card, or 8 queries per page. The correct way is to query the full dataset once, store the response in a local variable, then use functions like forEach and index to find the data you need from the results. Query once, then reference locally. Second, be careful with A-bang selection fields. This function is a convenient way to get all fields from a record, but you should only use it if you absolutely need every single field. Overusing it leads to the exact problem Acme Auto had. Instead, only return the fields you will need. And third, avoid an unnecessary fetch total count. In Abang query record type, setting fetch total count to true forces Appian to run a second query just to get the total number of records. If you don't need to show a message like showing 8 of 300 results, leave this parameter as false to save that extra trip to the record type. So how do you find these slow queries in your application? Appian gives you a great tool, the Query Performance tab in Monitor View. This centralizes key information about each query to your record types. To use it when troubleshooting, enable Capture Query Performance. You should only enable this when you're actively troubleshooting queries initiated from the front end. Queries initiated from Designer are captured by default. Once it's on, you can interact with your application and your queries will show up here. You can see who ran the query, which object it came from, the execution time, and most importantly, the total count of fields returned. This is how we prove our fix for Acme Auto worked. We can look at the execution time before and after our changes to see a dramatic improvement. And that's it. Let's recap the key takeaways. First, choose the right query function for the job. Second, query only the fields you need, and be especially careful to avoid expensive fields like real-time custom record fields and extra-long text fields. Third, query only the records you need using filtering and paging. Fourth, avoid looping a query. Query once, store the response in a local variable, then use for-each and index to iterate through the list. And finally, use the Query Performance tab to hunt down and analyze any slow queries. These are just some of the ways you can improve performance in your applications. To learn more, check out Appian documentation. If this video was helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to see more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.